It is the middle of the season and we find ourselves at a repurposed airfield that is one of the finest racing circuits in the UK, if not the world. 30 or so incredible drivers, one commentator who may or may not be joined by a second, and one format that made for some phenomenal racing last season. Hello and welcome back to the TSRC GT3 Series for round number 4 here at Silverstone on the JP Broadcasting channel. My name is Kelsey Gill and it is my pleasure to be bringing you the action this evening, which promises to be nothing short of spectacular. With any luck, I will be joined by the familiar voice of Zach Sweeney as he rushes home from karting, but for now, the new guy is in charge. And what a format we have for you this evening. It is a sprint format here at Silverstone, and it's looking incredibly exciting. And while we're waiting for practice to finish up, let's try and run you through some of the grid order then as things are going, and familiarise both myself and you guys with the format as we go along. So taking a look at the format for this evening then, it is two 25-minute races with reverse championship standings organising the grid for the first race, and then the two races being split by 15 minutes of qualifying and then one more race, which grid will be determined by that qualifying, of course. And let us run you through that grid for this evening. Let me get everything up here. Right, so we start then. I'm going to probably butcher some of these names, but I'm going to give it the best of goes. So starting at the front of the grid then, oh my word, I've tried to say this a minute ago, Vyacheslav Volodya will be starting on pole position, or on the front of the grid I suppose, and then joined by, on the front row, by Nico Veldman, with Martin Blankensteiner on the third position of the grid, and Samuel Chimondale on position number 4. Eric Lawson and I'm just going to say Hamling. I'm still getting used to the names. I am very sorry. With Maurice Stryker lining up in position number 7 and Jack Southfield lining up alongside. Oscar Soristo then in position number 9 with Dominic Eligna, your third place runner in the pros, lining up in position number 10. Sam Fleety in position 11 and Sir Smoggy, your pros leader at the moment, lining up on the front with, I believe, I'm not sure if I could probably see in here, maybe, I don't know, I should stop rambling on really, but we continue on. I think that's Frank, I cannot pronounce, Danix, in position number 13 with Scott Vincent on position number 14 as we go into the Pro-Ams there with Paul Sims in position number 15, Rob Contrell position 16. We have then Chris Davis and Zach always gets this wrong, but I'm trying not to get it wrong, Giuseppe Zampieri in position number 18, Pablo Rubini in 19 with I want to say Felix Chef in position 20, James Wright position 21 with your third place man Gonzabo in position number 22 for your Pro-Ams class, with Luca Raya in positions 23 and Mark Peters position number 24. And I've actually zoomed. There we go. I'm still getting used to having push to talk on. James Hackler then coming in position number 25, Joe Kingston Lee 26, with Darren Williams and Simone Bardery in 27 and 28. That is some name. Steve Bergen-Valland, I'm really sorry I've butchered that, in position number 29 for your AMS, with Elias Troyer on position number 30 and Davide Massi 31, your leader for the AMS class, with Anthony Shatler and Eric Eibling. There we go. I'm sorry that I've butchered many of the names here. I'm sure Zach would have done it a little bit better. Still a little bit rusty when it comes to all of the names at least, but I did my best as we have about a minute left of practice. Hello Phil in the chat. Hello Jan, it's pronounced Gillyheim. Okay, I will try and remember that as we move along forward. Being really thrown into trial by fire here for what is only my second time on well, this series of racing, I suppose. But trying to uphold my best as we watch. Oh, I've already forgotten the name already. I'm so sorry. I'll just go with what I see on the thing as we watch Troy go around in the Audi number 63. I believe our leader in the AMS class at the moment. Oh gosh, it's all split up into different things. I think holding the push to talk button has messed me up big time. No, Troy is your second place runner at the moment. We wait along. I think we are getting close. So I'll wait for everything to get a long way. I'll stop rambling on because I feel like I'm talking for talking's sake, and we'll wait for some racing action. Well, less than 20 seconds then to go. All the cars lined up on the grid, and I'm joined by the cavalry now. James Parfitt, who is well, the namesake of the channel itself. Hello, James.
Hey, Kelsey, how's it going, buddy?
Yes, not too bad. Stumbling over myself at the moment, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
So he's on. Zach's on his way.
Yes, maybe we'll keep a live timer of where Zach is as we start the formation lap of this sprint race here, and well, from the look of the grid and from what I know of this class or these classes of drivers, it's going to be quite the race.
Yeah, they should be. It's going to be interesting to see what Smokey can do, to be honest. And Fleety, I'm interested to see them too. Obviously, we saw them. I saw them over the weekend as well in another series. So it's going to be really exciting to see how these guys get on. And you got Volodoya up front as in the number 7 Porsche there as well. I think we could be in for an absolutely barnstorming one, to be fair, buddy. You know, poor old Zach, he's going to be missing out here if he doesn't hurry up. But, you know, this one should definitely be a good one.
Yeah, certainly so. I think Zach has definitely drawn the short straw on this one, and the sprint format always does toss up for some great racing when you've got all of the faster guys or the guys running normally at the front making their way up and through the field as well. And like you say, so Smokey will be one to watch. Don't forget about Dominic Aligna there as well. He's going to be ahead of Smokey at the moment, and those two have had quite the fierce rivalry thus far at the front of the pros at the moment, and making their way through the rest of their class is going to be quite the spectacle.
Well, anytime you're going through traffic is always going to be a spectacle. It's even going to be even harder if you're trying to shift it through, you know, a lot of other people in the process for them. You know, it's always going to be tough. Aligna's in ninth at the moment, and I think from his point of view, to be able to get that car back to the front, they just need to be clean. I think that's the thing. They do need to be clean, and you know, from their point of view, it's going to be a tough one. Smokey, Fleety, Aligna, going to be tough issues, tough job trying to get through, but I'm sure they'll be able to.
Yeah, certainly. So these drivers are all of quite the class of their own, and I think as well the circuit is going to really pay them favours. It's not like last week at Imola where it was hard to pass and you had to really think about where you were making those moves. Silverstone offers such amazing racing opportunities, and with this older layout as well, where we're starting along the towards Cox for turn 1 rather than the GP circuit that I'm used to. We're going to have quite the race.
Yeah, the legacy circuit is, you know, it's one of them it's an old time circuit. You know what I mean? It's from what we know as Silverstone, it was the first layout I ever saw as a Silverstone race was at the legacy circuit, and I think from this point of view, it's kind of a little bit, you know, sentimental from my eyes. But you know, it should be an absolutely barnstorming one here as well. So. Looks like the guys are coming around Brooklyn, so yeah, let's get ready for the start.
Yes, indeed, making their way around to begin this sprint race. 25 minutes then on the clock for the race itself, just waiting to go ahead, and you can feel the tension already. I went on a massive not rant, I suppose, but talk about the formation lap, and I'm sure they'll all be feeling the things that I mentioned last week as the drivers start to pull alongside one another, getting themselves ready to go racing here at Silverstone.
Yeah, so this is where it's all going to matter now. It's how they control this and how they're coming. They're coming actually round Brooklands and Luffield, so this is going to be the last part for Lloyd Doyer up front and Veldman. It's going to be even more important to see how he can get away, mate. But it's definitely, you know, here we go. It's all up to you, Kelsey. They're ready to go.
Let's go. Then we're going to be waiting. He's going to make it as late as possible as he trundles down towards the line side by side. They go. All of these amazing livery cars, these bright cars, ready to go racing any second now. It's Volodya and Veldman leading the way between the two as we wait. They're making their way just around Woodcourt now. The line creeping ever closer as we wait for this Porsche to lead us on the way around, and he's crossed the line and we're off, and side by side they're going to run down all the way now to the Cops corner, and it's going to be fairly tentative for them all. Are they going? I don't know. They probably are, but away we go for some racing now, and it's going to be Volodya leading the way, and that pink Mercedes Blankensteiner is making his way through as well, and is looking to challenge up towards Maggots and Beckett's now as well. Around the outside he goes, and into the lead goes Blankensteiner.
Yeah, what an absolutely barnstorming move. He got an absolute flyer. He got the jump off the start, which is literally what he needed to do. And on that run down into Cops, he was well alongside second place, and he absolutely buried it all the way through. The Maggots Beckett's complex come out the other side as well. And there's more movement, as you can see there, in fourth place at the moment, between strikers having a good old go and trying to make the move around the outside, on the outside as well.
I believe I've pulled a Crofty. I think it's actually Cholmondeley in the lead of this race at the moment, as Blankensteiner is the Mercedes there as well. But still an incredible move to go through that complex of corners. There's a bit of shuffling going on behind Blankensteiner, who we now watch in P5 at the moment, trying to get the better of Hamling just ahead of him.
Yeah, we've got Blankensteiner trying to battle down with Hamling as well. We've got Velman and Volodoya behind it as well. And at the same time, we've got Cholmondeley out in front. So they've done an absolutely barnstorming start in that Audi. He's got on the gas, he got the jump. Oh, big crash there. Dominic Aligna. One of the things we did have to say about careful is the Mercedes off on the right-hand side as well, the bright yellow. Oh, well, there's another one as well. There's a couple of, that was absolutely what looked like an incredible incident there with Aligna, and that was one of the things we were talking about there, Kelsey, about coming through traffic.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just risky business making your way through. There's cars all over the place, and you're trying to focus on the guys behind, the guys in front, and the guys that are actually in your class. And the thing with this racing as well is you're not just racing with people that you're racing for points. You're racing with other drivers who aren't in the same category as you, as Blankensteiner makes a big mistake there coming through Brooklands and into Luffield.
Yeah, he took some damage involved in that incident as well, and it looks like he may have run wide and taken some damage. He's not looking too happy at the moment. That Mercedes is more looking like Bambi on ice than it is a car on a racetrack, I've got to be honest. But Ebling here as well, with Williams in front of him as they're coming across the line as in the BMW there. Is that Steinbergen behind him in the BMW? They're coming side by side round Copson on this run down to Maggots and Beckett's now, and that is Steinbergen through into the BMW over that McLaren there and of Ebling. So another position gain coming down into that Cops corner. I'm wondering if they're starting to get a little bit fearful of being around there, because they are losing positions around Copson on that run down into Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, they certainly are, and it's just it's such an incredible corner as well, just making that way through, and it's great to see them going through as cleanly as possible, and yeah, getting those moves done in that area as well. As we watch Sir Smokey, he's got a train of cars following along behind him, and one of those cars being Dominic Aligna, who he will definitely want to see his way up ahead.
Yeah, the thing is as well, for he needs to get further up the grid, but the trouble is he's not got the slow cars down in front of him. You know, when you've got the likes of Smokey in front of you, you haven't got slow cars. And Steinberger here in the BMW, he's trying to chase down Williams in the Audi there as well, but he's also got Ebling behind him in the McLaren. So there's so much going on that you've got to try and pay attention to where it's happening. It's like Aligna's now like 0.2 back currently at the moment. So there's another tense battle going on there, and it's just battles all the way through the field. As you say, with 21 minutes remaining, it's going to be the same all the way through. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it certainly is, and I think that's Vincent making his way apart of Fleety, or is it
Fleety?
It's Fleety fighting away. Sorry, trying to get used to these Assetto Corsa spectator bits, but he's got Scott Vincent challenging him as well at the moment, defending as hard as he can to keep that. I can't tell what sort of car that is.
That's an Audi. He's battling.
It is an Audi.
Yeah, I think Fleet and Aligna. I think Fleet just made the move over Aligna there as well, and Vincent's in the BMW behind them, I believe. So there's Vincent there, there's Aligna in front of us, and I think that's Fleety in the front. Smokey's in front of that, Silverstone on the car number 97 in 6th, Hamlin 5th, Southfield 4th, Velman 3rd, Bedoya in 2nd, and Cholmondeley out in front at the moment. So yeah, Scott Vincent in 9th, trying to battle there with Aligna in front of him, which of course might not be a bad thing, because Aligna was all out of shorts, he was off the grass, we saw him, he was literally grass cutting while he was out there, he was pulling a Bottas almost and trimming the grass down at this Silverstone circuit. So he's obviously in that car, he's a little bit flustered at the moment. He's got Sam Fleet, he's overtaken him and made that move away from him, Kelsey. So there's a lot going on in Aligna's car at the moment, and he's got to just try and stay on track with what's happening. Yeah,
certainly, and getting caught up in these battles is gonna affect him a little bit as we watch Wright and Zampier, I think it's Wright and Massey perhaps even, making their way through the Vale chicane there, and the two Italian cars just behind swapping places as well as we ride along now with Striker in that very striking Honda in the mix of all of these Italian flagged cars, which they do make me chuckle when I see them on the track.
Yeah, I think the thing is though, the problem with that is it looks good. The livery matches the BMW. I can't imagine the Italian flag going crossways over the McLaren or the Honda NSX of Striker in front of him. I don't know if it would look right. It just looks right on that BMW. Whether or not it would look right on any other car, possibly not, because I don't think Striker there would really love the fact that he's going to have an Italian flag across his Honda, mind you. And the Honda is looking racy at the moment. He is trying to make that move past Zampieri. So let's see what Striker can do. Striker's looking a little bit quick here. Kelsey, he's looking at making that move. And at the moment, he might get it on the run down if he can into Copse, but we'll just have to see how he gets on here. As I believe they are just coming around Woodcote now. Yes, they are, before they go off down into Copse again here for another lap.
Yeah, that Honda has got so much pace behind it, and he's got these two drivers who he's not really racing with, but he's still got to try and navigate nonetheless, and maybe a move down towards Maggots and Beckett's now. He has a look around the outside. We've seen a couple moves here before already in these early stages of the race, but no way through as well. I must say, I don't think there's a mandatory pit stop during this race either, so it's all the way to the line for everybody. And Striker not able to get past Zampieri for the time being now, and he's got to be careful as well. He's got Raya just behind him as well, and he's actually looking to make a challenge down in towards Stone Corner now. It could be two cars in once for the Italian driver, but it's not quite going to be close enough to get the car ahead of him, but he's going to get the inside and the better of Striker, who's now back down to P19, and he's got all three Italian liveried cars now in front of him running down to Vale.
I think that's the problem, right? Is he took the opportunity to make that move. The thing is as well with Striker is he wasn't in the draft, and the BMW Zampieri just moved out in front and pulled Raya through because Raya had picked up the draft. You've got to be careful if you're working in the same team, like teammates, because of the fact that they can do things like that to you. And I see it classically on a Tuesday series. They can, two teammates in that series are absolutely incredible, and teammates can do that for you, as we can see Wouter Steinbergen down here with Troyer in the Audi. This is going down for 21st and 22nd place. He's got to be careful. Striker had to be careful, and unfortunately for him, it went against him, and he just lost the position to Raya behind at the same time.
Yeah, he did, and he'll be gutted that he was part of that incident during the early laps of this race, and he's now really paying for it, having to fight a long way. It looks like he's got past Raya once again as we continue to watch Steinenberg make his way through now as we move over to the action as a bit further up the grid, watching Davis run and chase along towards Copse Corner.
Yeah, Davis here is Chef in front in the Honda, so as they go down through there, Davis in the Bentley. The figures with the Bentley, it's such a big car. It's huge. It reminds me of just sticking four wheels on a house brick and saying, hey, we're going to call it a Bentley, because it's a massive car. And I think from that point of view, you know, they've got to be able to, he's got to be able to control that Bentley and get it going forward. And Davis at the moment is chasing around down Chef in the NSX. However, he has got Zampieri behind him in the BMW. And we've already seen how quick Zampieri, Striker and Raya have been as the evening's gone on in this first race. So with 16 minutes to go, Striker could still be looking as he's there, trying to make that move past Zampieri. Is he going to be able to get the job done? He is, and that is Striker up another position as well. So an absolutely stunning move from him as he comes down into the into Abbey and Sparm, I believe.
Yeah, he's that's a great move to finally dispatch of Zampieri ahead of him, but I think Zampieri's let Raya through now as well, so it's not quite over yet for the Honda, as he's still got those two cars chasing, but he's got that huge Bentley ahead of him, as you've mentioned, James. And I mean, as cool as it Bentley does kind of look, it is a very, very clumsy looking car, I think.
Yeah, the Bentley's never been angelic. You're not going to look at it and think, ugh. You're going to look at it and go, what, this thing races? Like they put this on the racetrack? You know what I mean? And that's the thing with it. It's just a very big clumpy car here. As you can see, Siristo in 6th place at this moment in time in the Aston Martin, chasing down Hamlin in the Lamborghini, as these guys are running off at down Copse for the down into turn 1 before they go on to that Maggots and Beckett's complex. See where the difference between the Bentley and the Aston is the Aston looks like it should be a racing car. The Bentley just doesn't, in my eyes. I don't think it looks like it should be a racing car, but it is, and people use it and love it. And Davis is down in 15th with it at the moment.
That Aston Martin was looking absolutely angelic through Maggots and Beckett's there. It was all over the back of Hamlin's Lamborghini just ahead of him. And that was some great car control to see as well. We got some side-by-side action up ahead as well. I think that's for Logic getting the better of Veldman at the moment through Stowe Corner. As we watch again, Veldman trying to find a way around the outside through the Vale chicane. No dice for Veldman thus far. That Porsche stays ahead for now as they go around Wilcott once again.
Yeah, I do love that corner. I've got to be honest. I lived at a road in North London called Woodcote Avenue. So that's my little bit of sentimental value there of the Silverstone circuit. Was I lived in a street in North London, the same as a corner on Silverstone racetrack. So that's my claim to fame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a cool little thing. I mean, having living somewhere close to a racetrack. I mean, it's one of the best racetracks in the world as a Brit as well. Yeah. As a British driver, it was always special to watch. As we got even more action in the middle here, and the sprint format doing just that, bringing up some great action for us to commentate on. As Massey tries to find a way past that McLaren, the lone McLaren on this field of cars at the moment, doing a good job to keep behind Massey at the moment, and currently lead the Hams.
Massey he's trying to chase down Bardari in that McLaren, of course. Behind him has got the big Bentley of Davis. But then you've got the group that's caught up: Jeff, Striker, Reyes, Zampari, and Rubini. So at the moment, from Massey's point of view, he needs to clear Bardari. It's almost like the moving roadblock. But he's just positioned his car in the right manner. People aren't able to get through, and unfortunately, I think for Massey's point of view, as we're looking back now, and Davis there is that Bentley as it comes up right at you. It just looks like an angry, I don't know, like an angry minion on steroids or something. It's just right behind him currently at this moment in time. So Bardari there in 12th place, currently being chased down by Massey and Davis with Jeff, Striker, Rea, Rubini, all in chase at the moment. So Bardari is like the, how can I put it, the deer in headlights, shall we say, chased down by everyone.
Yeah, he certainly is all aboard the Bardari train then at the moment as well. And that Bentley is looking under some pressure now from Chef at the moment, trying to find a way through the Stowe Corner at the minute as Striker is defending from Raya once again. At the moment, all of the action going on in the midfield at the moment. It's a bit quieter as you go up the grid or down the grid, but it's this train of cars that we continue to follow at the moment. Massey trying to find a way around Luffield at the moment, no way through, and he's got to be careful of Davis as well in that Bentley, and it's going to be almost side by side as the Italian runs wide.
Yeah, he did there, and they come down into Cops now, and let's see how they get on here. Currently at this moment in time as well, with Bardari still being chased down by Massey, still being chased down by Davis, still being chased down by Jeff. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one now, and see how they cope with this and see how he gets on. But Bardari's well in his rights to see where he is, and that's the thing for anybody else. They've got to make them past him. It's not down to him to move out of the way. It's down to them to try and get past him. And you know, it wouldn't be racing if he just rolled over and got his belly tickled this evening. I'll tell you that much.
No, that's it. And even if he can't pull away in that McLaren, he's got every right to stick in front and try and make that car as wide as possible and keep them behind. And more props to him. It's more to the driver behind, as you say, that's got to try and get past, not the driver ahead. And it's the passes that count on these races. And trying to look around the outside of Cops here at the moment. Still no way through for Massey in that BMW thus far, and he must be getting frustrated.
Yeah, he's got to be. The thing is, the problem with that is frustration leads into just pure sense. As we can see, Hamlin, the Southfield, and Veldman with Soristo right behind him at the same time. So from their point of view, it's going to be like a four-way train. Oh, it's Hamlin. Hamlin's gone round. He's jumped out past behind Fleety. Can he stay in front of Vincent in ninth? He can at the moment, but at the moment Hamlin now is down behind Fleety and is currently down in 8th place. Was there a touch from Soristo behind though? That's going to be the true fact. Was there a touch from Soristo? If not, that was a mistake for Hamlin on his point.
Yeah, and if it was a mistake, it was a crucial one to make as he's dropped way down. We're going to have a look at the replay now coming in. I think there was the slightest touch on the back of that Lamborghini there. I couldn't quite see it, quite zoomed out at the moment. Let's have another look as we're coming down at the moment. How do you see it, James?
How do I see it? It's always a difficult one from that point of view, mate, because, you know, with the replay factor in ACC, it's always difficult to pick up on replays. But I think, to be honest, without looking at the nose of Silverstone there to see whether or not there was actually contact with Hamlin, I'm not going to sit here and call it. I've been on the other end of far too many DMs of drivers saying, I never touched him, I never touched him. So the last thing I really want to do is get involved with another load of drivers who are going to be like, I never touched him. So, you know, for that one, we'll hold judgment and maybe let somebody else have a look at that here as well. But Southfield and Veltman currently as well. Southfield's looking quick in that Porsche as they come through the Maggotts and Beckett's complex. It's got to hook this up really to try and stay in contact with Veltman of that Audi as they go down through Chapel and Hangar. So let's see how we can get on here with Southfield running down after that Audi.
That looked like a really good exit from Southfield there. A quick driver and for sure, and Veltman's going to be looking in his mirrors to make sure there's no moves down in towards the Stowe corner at the moment, and he's not quite close enough yet. A decent racing driver, and as Zach commonly likes to put out there, a ginger as well on the grid, and doing well in that Porsche at the moment.
Are we saying gingers travel faster? Is that what we're saying about Southfield?
Yeah, I guess, you know, that extra heat, you know, under there. I don't know. Take the weight away of not having a soul as well, so there's a little less weight in the car.
Oh, well, Jack, you can you know, send all DMs to Kelsey Gill in the TSRC Discord for that one. That's got nothing to do with me on that one, calling you ginger and have no soul. So there we go. But Silverstone in 7th is battling away with Fleet. The trouble for Silverstone is Fleet is always going to be quick. He's a quick driver with Smokey as well. So from Silverstone's point of view, he can't do, if there was contact with Hamlin, what he's done then. He's got to try and pass Fleety clean, and Fleety is got to try and get past Smokey. So, you know, with just under 7 minutes 20 remaining, the end of this race is going to be absolutely epic.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've got a lot of battles really heating up and cooking at the moment. The Silverstone trying to find a way past. He's shown us some great moves in Imola last week and made his way up from an awful qualifying session into one of the top places in the race at the moment. And car number 97 really looking fast at the moment. He's got to try and find a way past Fleety at the moment. Fleety is the leader in the pros at the minute, but I'm sure Silverstone's got skills behind the wheel to get past.
Well, is Hamlin's, you know, not giving him any breathing space. I think if Silverstone had, you know, after Hamlin had obviously gone round or gone off, that if Silverstone had that gap, if Smokey's made a mistake there, is this going to be where Fleet's going to get him now on that run out of Beckett's? Here we go. Can they make it down into Stowe? Is it going to be Fleety? I don't think he's going to be quite close enough over Smokey at the moment round Stowe. But Smokey's under pressure. He's definitely feeling it as he's making mistakes now on the racetrack.
Yeah, he certainly is, and those are going to cost him. The more mistakes he makes, the closer and closer the pack behind him gets, and these guys are hungry for it as well. I should correct myself in saying that Smokey is your leader at the minute with Fleety at the moment, and it's going to be even more crucial then that Smokey doesn't make any more mistakes and keeps these drivers behind him, because they're going to want to get past, because that is the man to beat at the moment.
Well, it's like that target man, isn't it? You're a leader. You're a championship leader. You're under the cosh. People want to get at you. You know, it's like the first thing. I was watching an interview the other day with Lewis Hamilton, and basically the first thing he said is the first thing he wanted to do when he got into Formula One was beat the champion, because it shows that they're better, and that's what everybody wants to do. They all want to be the leader of the championship at the moment, and as you say, Smokey is it.
Oh, that's it. Every driver wants to be the best. You know, you go into a race, and if you're not the guy at the front, then you're not doing the best that you can do. And I've done plenty of races now where I've you know, wanted to be the guy at the front, and yeah, it's just, you know, the guy to beat is always the one you're going to be after, no matter what. And yeah, I feel like I'm tripping over again.
The thing is for you is you might see the front of the field, right? I spend most of my time in the booth. So I don't really generally see what it looks like to be the leader, unless I'm in a very poor official split in some car somewhere on on another sim or whatever, but I'm never normally at the front, I've got to be honest, partly because, yeah, my time and racing skills are not great at the moment. We've got Zampieri here with his teammate behind him at the moment. I'm trying to work out who that is. There's Davis in there as well, isn't it? And this is Hamlin with Silverstone now. Hamlin's looking at coming up the inside. Is he going to make that move done? He is. Is there going to be contact again? Are we going to see a repeat? Because this is just where it's just happened between Silverstone and Hamlin. And are we going to see it again here coming down into the chicane? We're not this time around there, Kelsey, but Hamlin is looking quick again. As I say, he didn't sit back and think, oh no, I've been overtaken, I've spun, I've been hit, I've whatever, and sit back and sit on his laurels. He's gone after Silverstone. He's made that move, and now next on his list is currently Fleet out in front of him.
Yeah, for sure. He dispatched of Silverstone with minimal effort there, it seemed, and just got himself past, shook off that mistake or that contact, and really got himself dug into this race once again. About 3.5 minutes left, and it is a close race, Mormon. You are correct, and we are going to bring you all of the action as it happens at the moment. And we're watching Hamlin chase after Fleety and Smokey at the moment, and that Lamborghini does look quick despite the any possible damage that could be on it as well.
Oh, absolutely. He's not flying along, and that car's running. He can't have. If he's got damage, he's hiding it very well, because that car is literally flying along quite nicely. But I would suspect as they come around Woodcote to start another lap with 3 minutes to go, we're going to probably have one more here. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what Hamlin's going to be able to do. Is he going to be able to get after Fleety? You know, and that's the thing. Is he going to be able to move up another position? They're very where they are. If you're looking at the gaps, they're very where they are and where they've been staying all the way through. Nobody's really making moves. Obviously, Hamlin's just gone past Aristo a lap or so ago. But nobody else in front of that. Fleety, Smokey, Southfield, Velman, none of them have gone forward. You know, there is the Audi of Velman. There's been chased by Southfield. You've got Smokey, Fleety, Hamlin, Aristo. So nobody is really moving currently at the moment in a position where you expect them to be making moves over the last couple of laps.
No, they're certainly not, and you know, I think it's part of the nature of this circuit as well that they just there's a little bit of a, I mean, I want to say DRS train, but obviously that's Formula One terminology. But it's a sort of a bit of a train and a bit of a jostle for position, because they're all sitting in the draft of the car ahead of them, and it's just sort of allowing for each of them to just sort of stay in that sort of train and not really make any moves at the moment, because as well this circuit is a very high speed track, and if you're staying at an average speed, it's harder and harder to overtake, I suppose.
The thing is, when they're all kind of doing the same lap time, you're not going to be able to, you know, make the move here as well. As we see currently Southfield trying to go up the round at Velman. They're going to be running side by side. How is this one going to work by the time they get down into the braking zone? Is Southfield going to absolutely send it on Velman? Is there going to be contact? It's not at the moment. Velman holds it round the outside, and that's one of the issues you've got there as well. And now Southfield's got to tuck back in. Otherwise, he's going to be losing positions to Smokey and Fleety and everybody else behind him. So, you know, he tried. He had a go. They're coming round to the final lap now. I think Shimondale is already on the final lap of the race, and he had a go, and he didn't quite make it for Southfield. So it's whether or not he's going to send it again on the last lap, or Smokey is going to have a go at him coming down now for this last corner. And there they go. He pulls out side by side.
Yeah, certainly. And Smokey trying to find a way through. He's not quite close enough at the moment. He's just got to sit in the bumper of that Porsche at the minute. Southfield will want to try and put Veltman in between himself and that Mercedes of Smokey, but he's got to try and draw close now. And that Mercedes, I must say, in the rear view looks incredibly intimidating, doesn't it?
Oh, the Mercedes is an amazing car. I love the Mercedes. It reminds me of some big gruffing, and there's action behind. Here's Hamlin trying to make the move on Fleety. Hamlin's going to make the move. Is that Fleety in front of it there? Hamlin and Fleety with Zaristo behind him. Zaristo's pushed out Fleety as well. Coming down now into the chicane. Hamlin is through. Is Zaristo going to get through? Is there going to be contact? Is there going to be contact? There's a little bit of rubbing there. There's going to be. Oh, Zaristo got through currently over Fleety. What a move there. And that was a great battle there as well. And Hamlin and Zaristo got past Fleety.
Yeah, that was incredibly close between them. Lucky to not make any contact. Maybe a little bit of paint exchange between the two of them. But Zaristo getting that move done. getting past Fleety at the just there as well, continuing to chase after Hamling, who has also made his way past as well. And Fleety won't be too happy with that. He'll be losing some big points here in the championship.
Yeah, nobody likes losing 2 laps, especially not this close to the end. I wouldn't want to be losing 2 places this close to the end either. But Silverstone took the opportunity. Hamlin was battling with Fleety. Fleety was offline. Silverstone said, thank you very much. I'll take a freebie all day if you guys want to fight. Leaving the door open like that. But I believe Shimondale has come across the line. He is your winner. Vodoya behind him in 2nd place. Then Velban there in 3rd with Southfield, Smoggy, Hamlin, Silverstone and Fleety in 8th. And Quantrell comes across the line in 9th there, buddy.
Yeah, coming home in 9th and leader of the Pro-Ams as well. And it's looking into P10, it's Scott Vincent who's going to come across the line 2nd. Had a major spin, well, in P10, I suppose, but had a major spin. Didn't live up to his name of Vincent this time along. And just behind as well, we got Wright in the Porsche making his way across the line to finish P11. Badari then through thick and thin, he finishes in P12, and your winner of the AMS at the moment as well, with Raya and Rubini following close behind to continue the finishes of the Pro AMS as well, with Davis and Zampieri, then Massey your AMS 2nd place, and Sims and Chef finishing 18 and 19.
Yeah, but I'm gonna just spotted that we've got the Mr. Zach Sweeney in the booth. Good evening, Zach. Thank you for joining us. Better late than never, young sir.
Yeah, I'm here. Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's been frantic. Obviously, on the last Thursday of every month, I go to a karting championship, and it just so happens that tonight of all nights, the round I've been looking forward to most this whole season, just happens to be the night that it runs just that little bit later, which means I've frantically been trying to get home as quickly as I can, and well, just in time. I think we've had a pretty good race 1, but I'm back in time for race 2, which is well, let's see how it goes. I mean, at least I'm getting some Silverstone action, which that's all I care about.
Right, I'm going to jump out, boys, because I'm off to somewhere else as well to do another Radical Race Series here at there at Brian's Zach, so that's going to be exciting. So I'm going to leave you, Kelsey, in the capable hands of Zach. Much love, boys, and I'll catch you all later.
Cheers, James. Obviously a living legend, let's put it that way. I mean, well done, and of course thank you to Kelsey and of course to James for putting up with it. Very last minute, of course, for James to jump in and be like, well, yeah, no, I'm going to give Kelsey a hand, let's go for it. But running through the of course the finishing order for race number 1, it was Samuel Chimondley that took victory, 5.2 seconds clear of Vaislav Volodya. Nico Veldman rounds off the podium with Jack Saffield, Sir Smoggy, your top 5. Then comes Guillaume Hamling, Oscar Soriso, Sam Fleety, unfortunately having a pretty poor showing there in the 16 at Mercedes. Gonchal wins for the Pro-Ams, followed by Scott Vincent and James Wright, your podium, and Badari, the victor for the Amfield. Then comes Raya, Rubini, Davis, Zampieri, Massey, Sims, Chef, Striker, Dominica Ligna. Ooh, Striker and Ligna really had stinkers all the way down in P20 and P21 respectfully. Then comes Williams, Ebling, Elias Troyer, Steenbergen, Schattler, Blankensteiner, Kingston Lee, and Conchabo, your field for race number 1 here at Silverstone. Round number 4, of course, of the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. And well, Kelsey, so give us a summary of race 1. I didn't get to catch most of it. I was, listening in the car as much as I could, trying to get an idea. But for those of you that are just joining, what happened?
It was absolutely action-packed, Zach, and that from the first lap, I think it set the precedent for the rest of the race as well, as we watched Chimondley just breeze past from 3rd place all the way into the front, and in that neon pink Audi, just really take us all by surprise, I think, and did incredibly well to stay out in the front as well. We had then some huge battles in the midfield, particularly all of the Italian liveried cars battling away with Striker and trying to find a way past Badari as well, who has made that McLaren as wide as possible and kept them all at bay to finish at the front for the AMS as well. And then we watched some great battling among the Pro AMS drivers as well, as Sir Smokey was being chased by Fleety and Oscar Soristo, as well as Hamling as well, and had a lot of drivers all trying to get after the target man, I suppose, as James sort of coined him, I suppose, in there, but lots of fighting, a few incidents as well, which I'm sure will all be sorted out at some point, Zach. But it was an absolutely incredible race, and I think we're in for another one.
I mean, I don't want to say it, but as British things, as Silverstone, you know, we have some good racing. But nah, in all seriousness, I think all season long we've had some fantastic races. James would very much correctly say, barnstormer of an event. And well, I mean, looking forward to the rest of the season. I seriously cannot wait to see what is in store. Of course, we still have race one and of course qualifying. We focused on a reverse grid format of the championship, similar to how we did last season at Brands Hatch for round number 3. But today we take to Silverstone. 15 minutes on the clock for qualifying. And well, I mean, this qualifying session, Kelsey, I guess is quite, you know, it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see the quickest lap times possible because these drivers have already had 25 minutes of warm-up.
Oh yeah, certainly, and you put the practice on that as well, and they've had so many laps to try and get around. But sometimes as well, a little bit too much knowledge of a circuit can be to your detriment. It can allow for some mistakes to creep in. You can get a little bit tired as well, perhaps, and it's just, you know, you can get complacent, I suppose, when you're going around, because you've done it so many times, as we watch Smokey make his way through Stowe Corner there as we begin this qualifying session. But yeah, I mean, some drivers will have to be careful of becoming complacent, I guess, because that is where issues will come in. And if that is the case, they're going to see themselves starting a further down the grid than they would have liked to in this second race.
And how important is qualifying around a circuit like Silverstone? I mean, it provides fantastic racing, don't get me wrong, but the fast and flowing nature of it doesn't necessarily mean you're on the brakes for very long. I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking of heavy braking zones, and, you know, straight to mind, of course, Smokey now coming into it, turn 3 at Village. Then, of course, you've got Brooklyn's kind of... Actually, no, it's not turn 3, is it? Because we're not on the GP layout, we're on the GT3 layout, which is the same circuit, but it starts at Cop, so it's into Village, not necessarily turn 3. But then, of course, you've got the kind of heavy braking zone into Brooklyn's. Stowe, kind of, you're on the brakes for some time, but in all seriousness, there's not really that many places to make a route move around Silverstone. So surely Silverstone is a circuit where qualifying is quite important.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we saw in the first race that the drivers, once they'd kind of settled themselves into the race, there wasn't really all that much action going on, except for those drivers who perhaps caught onto mistakes of the others and were really sort of homing those opportunities to get themselves up a place during the race as well. And I think it's going to be very important to get themselves in the best place possible to get this race going. But as I always like to say, Zach, when I'm commentating on Formula One, there's no points for qualifying, no points for Saturday. It is the points are come along in the race, and that is where it's always important. But I suppose qualifying does set the precedent for the race to go.
Qualifying means diddly squat, in all seriousness. I mean, yes, obviously it's a stepping stone into the race, and, you know, if you start on pole, brilliant, you're doing yourself a lot of favours versus whether you start last. However, there's been countless times where people have started last and won the race by a country mile. It helps, but it's not the be-all and end-all. Anything can happen, particularly in a series like the Sim Racing Collective. It's chaotic in the best of ways. Like, obviously, you think of chaotic and carnage, and you think, oh no, what, really? Seriously? People are crashing out and spinning out, and it's all over the place, and you're only getting 5 people finish. But no, in the TSRC, it's chaotic in the best of ways. You've got side-by-side, you've got dramatic spins, you've got big names that can sometimes have pretty poor showings that really spice things up. So, of course, qualifying, yes, it's nice to see a nice benchmark as to where people are and a good stepping stone into the race. But when it comes to that 25-minute dash to the checkered flag, anything can happen. People will spin, people will make those moves. The slipstream, I'm sure, is going to take a lot of precedence when it comes to that run down the Wellington and, of course, the Hanger Straight as well. There are a lot of places to make that time back up if you don't have a pretty good showing in qualifying. And I think definitely race 1 did prove that. The reverse grid format obviously puts the quote-unquote faster drivers towards the back, and still, you know, a couple of them did manage to make their way through. So I guess that definitely does sort of prove your point, as we're starting to see the first couple of lap times take to the board. Salmon Chimondley, our race 1 winner, a 1:57.9, 2.5 tenths clear of Sir Smokey. So already the first couple of laps coming in, but we're already 5 minutes into the session. It's a long lap here at Silverstone.
Yeah, it is an incredibly long lap round here, and Cholmondeley just being pipped out by 0.2 of a second by Dominic Aligna there in the other Audi. And yeah, Cholmondeley's looking incredibly quick round here, I must say. He's done incredibly well in race 1, and he's really showing us what he can do at the moment. We watch Eibling now in oh, there is another McLaren on the circuit. Well, he's not alone then, this Badari in the McLarens, but yes, it's going to be quite the spectacle as the times start to come in.
They do indeed, with 10 minutes of the session left to go. Following on with Martin Blankenstein, 4th place in the AM Championship of Season 2, and promoted up to the pros. I'm not doing too bad, in all honesty, the Dane. He's actually quite impressing. Into the Vale chicane, 1.4 seconds off pole position as it stands. But, of course, do expect those times to come down. Silverstone, at least for me, personally, is one of those circuits that you often go quicker on your 2nd or your 3rd lap. It's very hard to be quick right out the gates, but as soon as you're into that rhythm, as soon as you get a feel for the circuit, you really do start to fly.
Yeah, and it's one of those circuits that really does reward getting that perfect lap in. And I mean, there's no lap that's ever going to be perfect, let's be honest here, but you know, when you just nail corners and when you get everything just right, it just feels so incredible. And as you say, you know, the more laps you do around are going to be, you know, they're going to be increasing that time more and more again. I mean, as is natural, I suppose. But yeah, it's going to be one of those tracks that is really going to just sort of, drivers going to come to life as they get more and more used to going as fast as possible around this track.
For sure. And Silverstone, I love Silverstone. I know I will blabber on about it, but Silverstone for me is one of my favorite circuits in the world, as Martin Blankenstein improves his time up now to 6th place in the Pro. Here comes Vaishnav Volodya, the Estonian, up now to 4th place. Really shown some good pace, actually, is the number 7 machine. Of course, he's had a pretty lackluster start to the season. Dominic Aligna, actually, we'll talk to about that for just a second. He's sitting on provisional pole as it stands, so a good lap, of course. Ooh, Simone Badari, a little bit shaky there for the Bada Racing McLaren. At the moment, sitting P3 in the AM standings in terms of this qualifying session. But, of course, when it comes to Silverstone, one of my absolute favourite circuits, and you really do hop, skip, and a jump. You go from one corner to the next. You go through Copse, very fast right-hander, into Maggots, into Beckett, Chapel Curve, and then the fast flowing of Stowe in towards the Vale chicane. Stop, start, go. Abbey Farm Village into the loop, then Aintree, then down the Wellington Straight in towards Brooklands, and then of course Luffield. Each corner flows directly into the next, and honestly, the flow that you can get, if you can hook it up, particularly in a car like the McLaren or the Bentley or one of those cars that really rewards smooth driving, it's a circuit that you really will soar at.
Yeah, I think so, and it's just a great track, isn't it, Zach? I mean, come on, it's Silverstone. What more?
Come on, we're British. We gotta support it. I mean, I hate to say it, but in all seriousness, Silverstone, Snetterton, Donington are 3 fantastic circuits. And no, it's not just because they're British. It's because they are just fantastic circuits. I mean, I love Spa. I quite like the Nürburgring as well. It's a decent circuit, nice to put some laps in. But when it comes to British motorsport, I don't think there's anything that can quite match up to Silverstone. And well, we churn out some pretty damn good laps. And I'm just saying, Brands Hatch was the sprint round last season. That's a British circuit. Silverstone's the sprint round for this season. It's a British circuit. Can't be a coincidence, surely, Kelsey?
No, not at all. I mean, some people will say British bias, but to those people,
we're Sky Sports F1, JPB. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Hello, Chasmeister. I'm doing very well. We are still in quali because it's in the sprint format. So if you missed the beginning parts of the stream, of course, we are doing 25-minute races, 2 of them, in fact. The first one, a reverse grid, and then the second one determined by this qualifying session that we are about halfway through.
Indeed so. So, of course, thank you for joining us, Chasmeister. It's nice to see your name in quite often, quite regularly, actually, in the YouTube chat of the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Speaking of, make sure to like, subscribe, turn the bell on for notifications, not to miss a single thing when it comes to sim racing. Of course, coming up, we've got the Radical Racing Series, James Parfitt and Ewan O'Leary to talk you through all of the action in terms of that. And, of course, just keep an eye out throughout the week. We pretty much have a broadcast every evening, pretty much also every morning in terms of the UK, in terms of the early hours. So obviously afternoon time for those of you over the pond in the US of A. But definitely there's always something to tickle your fancy when it comes to JPB, radicals, GTs, Formula One, single seaters, whatever you want, wherever you fancy, there is a home for you here. And of course, there's a home for you in the YouTube chat. Don't be scared, don't be hesitant to drop your name in, say hello, and of course, give us your predictions, your thoughts, your feelings, any queries that you have about the race, the format, anything like that. Make sure to pick our brains, because well, we're borderline professionals, and well, we got to earn our keep, don't we, Kelsey? We got to answer their questions back at home. So of course, make sure to tune in and well, give us some engagement, give us something to flow off as we approach the 5-minute mark left to go in qualifying. And once you get to this point, it really is crunch time. Your final couple of laps, that is really where you start building the pressure. The pressure cooker starts to boil, and it starts getting very, very tense as well. You've got those final chances to stake your claim.
Yeah, you do, and that's when the pressure starts coming in. That's when those mistakes might start creeping in as well. And I talked about complacency at the beginning, and it might find its way into some of the drivers as we go into these parts of the session that are incredibly dire. But the top drivers will be the ones who I think will feel that less and less and less.
For sure, it's the difference between the good and the great is being able to compose yourself and performing at your best even at your worst. And I know that sounds very contradictory, but you look at Lewis Hamilton and you look at Max Verstappen and how at some points in their career they've really been knocked down onto one knee, or they've been given some damage, or they've spun out, or they've been given a penalty, and they've been at their worst. But they still drive as if they've got a championship on the line. Because to be fair, 9 times out of 10 they do. But the fact is that no matter what happens, you give your absolute 100%, and you deliver as if it's no other, as if there's no other race, as if it's your last race of your life. And that is exactly what crafts a champion, is being able to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and push forward. Forget about the mistake, forget about the crash or whatever it was, forget about the mistake in qualifying even, or forget about the pressure. It's not even there. It's literally a construct of your mind. Your mind is telling you there's pressure on your shoulders. Shrug it off. Who cares? Talk to yourself. I know I do. When I'm driving by, I will talk to myself. And I know it sounds extremely strange, but I will talk to myself. I'll talk and motivate myself just to try and get rid of that pressure. And that's exactly what champions need to do. I'm not saying I'm anywhere near a champion, but that's, anything like that, just to make it an easier ride and be able to put that ever important lap time in. Because when you get to 2 minutes and 53 seconds left to go, and well, the gaps between, just have a look. At the moment, it's very much a fight for second, but all the way back down between Guillaume Hamlin and Oscar Soristo, 2.5 tenths of a second separating 5 positions. That is nothing in the grand scheme of things.
No, it really isn't. And these guys, really loving this circuit, it seems, and it's just so close as Shimondale goes even closer, setting the exact same lap time, I think, as Hamlin, just ahead of him as well. Both 0.540 of a second away from Dominik Eligner, who is the man on pole position at the moment. But it's absolutely close between all of these drivers, and it's incredible to watch them all pushing it to the limit.
It is. It's why we love qualifying. Qualifying is where we see the absolute limit taken to the circuit, because there's no tyre conservation, no fuel conservation, none of that malarkey. It is, well, put the car as close to the limit as physically possible. And well, I think Dominik Eligner has done exactly that. Same too with Scott Vincent there in the 121 BMW for the Pro-Ams. However, Felix Cheff maybe has an answer to that, and he does indeed. Moves up to pole position for the Pro-Ams. Of course, they'll start as all one long big grid, but Cheff, for minimum effort racing, definitely putting in the maximum effort, able to get top 10 overall and pole for the AMs. Following on with Jack Southfield for the TSRC representative Porsche. 1 second off the pace as it stands, but in terms of how qualifying works on ACC, he's got this lap and one more left to decide his fate.
Yeah, he does at the moment. He's going to have to try and put a blinding lap in to try and get in amongst it. Oh, he's a bit further down than from our leader at the moment, but he's definitely got some pace in him. He had some pace in the sprint race, of course, and he's definitely got something behind her in that Porsche at the moment. Coming through Woodcock now, yes, across the line. Let's see where he goes. Puts himself up into P4 and well in the mix.
beautiful second row for Jack Southfield, proving his might. Sir Smokey there in P5 in the Akodis ASP team Mercedes. The 284 rounds through entry for what could be the... This is going to be close, actually, for Sir Smokey. Very, very quick driver in his own right. Second place in the VCO Flex Stream Split 2 last weekend at Watkins Glen. Definitely knows his way around a race circuit in ACC, let's put it that way. Definitely feels at one in terms of that Mercedes AMG GT3 car. He knows how quick that car goes. He trusts that car. The car trusts him. Through Woodcote, it's going to be a very close run to the line. Probably is going to be his final run through Woodcote, trying to limit the distance he travels. Short run to the line, up to second place. A front row finish for Sir Smokey. Is he going to go again? The checkered flag is waved on qualifying, but surely off the back of a very fast lap like that, you'd want to go again, just to have that adrenaline and go into the final lap knowing how quick you can go. But again, it's understandable if he wants to try and take second.
I don't know, the way he's attacking Maggots and Beckett's here, it kind of looks like he is going again at the moment. And he'll want to try and go again. I mean, P2 is good, but the position that everybody wants is the top one. And Sir Smokey is our leader at the moment in the AMs as well. And in the pros, sorry, I should say.
Ooh, he's going to feel
almost, yeah, just a bit. Yeah, I think so. And rightly so, coming through Stowe corner there. But he'll want to try and topple Dominic Aligna's time if he can.
Absolutely. I mean, 3.5 attempts is a very tough ask in the dying stages of qualifying. Don't forget, of course, Dominic Ligna also on a lap himself. Here is Gergely Konchabo, the Hungarian, now across the line up to 4th place in the Pro-Ams for the Honda NSX. And, well, minimum effort, putting in a pretty good showing in this qualifying session. There is Dominic Aligna. So Smokey back to the pit lane. His qualifying session is done and dusted. What can Dominic Aligna do in that 716 Audi R8 machine? He is absolutely flying so far in qualifying, absolutely flying so far this season. And, well, I think surely at this rate, it's just a salt in the wound if he can extend that gap for pole.
Yeah, it certainly would be, and it's just going to show some more dominance as well from Aligna at the moment as well. If he can extend that gap as well, I think coming through towards Woodcote now. Let's see what he can do crossing the line, taking the checkered flag for qualifying at the moment, and a small improvement for Aligna.
Bravo. Dominic Aligna takes pole position for, I think, is another time this season. And, well, look at that. Dominic Aligna, so Smokey front row. We've seen this before, haven't we? Oh, well, this is going to be very, very spicy. 2 purple sectors go the way of Dominic Aligna to see him on pole position. So Smokey will join him on the front row. Then comes Guillaume Hamling, Samuel Cholmondeley, 3 and 4. Jack Southfield rounds off the top 5 with Sam Fleety keeping him for company on that 3rd row. Then comes the Estonian of Volodya, Oscar Soristo just in behind. Maurice Stryker, Martin Blankensteiner, the last of your top 10. Felix Cheff manages to take pole position for the Pro-Ams, the silver class, of course. Scott Vincent just alongside him there for P12. James Wright, Konchabo just in behind. Elias Troyer, pole for the AM class in the 63 Audi. Luca Raya just in behind P16. Then comes Sims, Zampieri, Conchal, Rubini, Peters, Kingston Lee, all the way down in the Triple 8 class, 2nd place in the AMs. Just in behind there, though, comes Davide Massi for BMW, Chris Davis, Steenberg and Badari, Schattler, Williams, Ebling, and Nico Veldman, the Flying Dutchman, strangely enough, all the way down there in P30. Got a long, long way to go, but as you can see them, too wide, 15 rows deep. A minute and a half before we see ourselves underway for the 2nd formation lap of the evening. And Kelsey, I'm going to throw it onto you. What are we expecting for this race?
If the sprint race is anything to go by, then we are going to be in for quite the race as well. I think we might see some similar sort of not quite making progress for some of the drivers, but it will mean that we get some close racing. We'll get some trains of cars all bumper to bumper on the way down through a lot of these very, very fast corners. This track is such a high-speed circuit, which makes it all the more thrilling as well. And we've seen some great moves from the drivers as well. Some great moves side by side into Maggots and Beckett's. Some overtakes going around the outside of Cops. I mean, look what Cholmondeley did on that opening lap in the sprint race. Just really going from P3 to P1. I've done that myself from the Formula 1 games before.
Oh, here he is.
And it feels very good to do. But yeah, I think we're going to see some great action at the moment. And Veldman as well. He's going to have his work cut out tonight, I think. He won't want to be all the way down there, and he's just going to have to keep a level head, play it as patient as possible. He's got 25 minutes to try and make up as many places as he can, and hopefully get in amongst his fellow class members.
Kelsey Gill, all right, jumps in second week. He's not the new boy anymore. He's jumped in. Yeah, you know what, guys? I've gone from third to first in a couple of corners because I'm just that good. So really, he's having
it's actually off the line.
Off the line, even better, even better. There we go, Kelsey Gill, just showing as to why he's not only a fantastic racer but also a fantastic commentator, and that's rare, very, very rare. I mean, we commentate because we're bad at racing, and as Arjuna Kankipati always says, those that can't do teach, and those that can't teach commentate. And to be fair, I've never resonated with that more. Regardless of which, we're underway for the formation lap. 25 minutes again are on the clock, but that's not going to start until they go all the way around the circuit. Dominic Liglas, Smokey, your front row. I mean, again, we spoke about this during Imola. I'm sure you and James covered it during the formation lap for race number 1. But how important is this formation lap for the drivers? What are they doing? What are they trying to achieve on this one lap dash all the way around?
Well, they're just trying to get themselves into that state, I suppose, and as well as themselves, get the car ready to go. And that is going to be some... sorry to see, when are we getting the Zach versus Kelsey 1v1? We'll have to wait for that, I think, a little while. But I'll continue on my point about formation laps and just... I mean, I spoke about this in Imola to a long depth as well. They're very important. It allows the drivers to get themselves all ready for the race, both mentally, physically, and get the car ready as well. Get a feel for the track and get everything in that perfect window for when you start, and just psych yourself up as well. And that's when all the tension builds, and that's when it's all released once the race has begun.
It really is. I mean, especially if you're in Dominic Lignas or Smokey's position, maybe even all the way down to P5 or Jack Southfield, you're high up, right? And you're sort of in the nosebleeds, and you're thinking, I've got a real chance here. I have a chance of winning this race. I have a chance of getting a podium. I have a chance of solidifying myself in the championship campaign. All of that is rushing through your mind at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you're just thinking, what do I do with it? How do I process this information? And well, for me, again, as you say, use it as an opportunity. Warm your tires, warm your brakes, focus on something, pinpoint something in your brain to focus on, and then everything else sort of starts to quieten down just a little bit. Or go through your pre-race rituals. I mean, as I said, warm your tires, warm your brakes, maybe do your religious sentiments, touch your lucky charm, say love you to your mum. I don't know, anything like that. Whatever it is, anything to help you calm the nerves down. Or, you know, set yourself some targets. Think, okay, I'm P1. I'm going to keep P1 for the first lap. I'm going to try and gain half a second. Or if you're so Smokey, I'm P2. Do I want to keep P2? Do I want to take the lead? Set yourself those targets. Say, I want to make up X positions, or I want to make up X amount of time, and then try and use that as an objective to base your progress over the first couple of moments in this race. But of course, only 25 minutes on the clock. Really is going to be a sprint to the finish. I mean, these guys are used to sort of 45 minute races, that sort of vein in terms of the TSRC series. So almost half of that time, just over half of that time in terms of track time and race time, and time to overtake is the important thing. They really do have to get a hurry on if they want to make moves.
Yeah, they do, and I think as a driver as well, you're always aware of how long you've got left of a race or how many laps you've got in a race as well. I mean, going into, say, a 50% race, you know, of say around 25 or 30 laps, it's going to be vastly different to going into a, say, a 5-lap race, or, you know, in this case, your 45 to your 25-minute long race at the moment. You're going to be very conscious of that, and that's going to affect the way in which you drive and the way and how many risks you take going in.
I agree, 100% I agree as well. This is a bit of a kerfuffle at the moment. Everyone trying to sort themselves out into single file. Game Handling thinks is on pole apparently in that 351 Lamborghini. Of course, it is Dominic Aligna. Through Luffield, of course. Then they'll go through Woodcote to start this race number 2. Aligna, Smokey, front row. Hamling, Cholmondeley, 3 and 4 just in behind. And then, of course, Southfield and Fleety, 5 and 6. They come out of Luffield. They run their way through Woodcote. 25 minutes on the clock. Dominic Aligna controls the pace. We're ready and raring to get racing for race number 2. The TSRC PC GT3 Series here on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Round 4 sees us take to Silverstone for the British round of the season. We've ticked past halfway. We're through race 1, and here we go for race number 2. The grid is set, and we are just waiting for them to barrel their way down in towards turn number 1. The green flag waves, and we are go. Dominic Ligner side by side with Sir Smogy as they run their way in towards Copse Corner for turn number 1. Dominic Ligner leads fairly convincingly, single file as they run their way through. There you go, the Porsche of Jack Southfield making up a couple of places, nearly 3 wide as they run their way in towards Maggots and Beckett's for the first time. There you go, there's the Honda NSX of, maybe is that Felix Cheff, maybe trying to make up some moves in the early stages, potentially so. Oscar Soriso, the Finn, up to 5th place from 8th in the opening stages, through Chapel Curve, and now down the, or up the Welling Hanger Straight, I should say, on that run in towards Stowe, and well, already a chaotic start, and Oscar Soriso eyeing up 4th place.
Yeah, there's been quite a tentative start for some of the drivers, but I think it's going to be fast and furious for the rest of this race. And I've noticed as well, Chimondele, something's happened to him. I can't see him on the timing screen really, and I couldn't really see him after the first corner. I think something's happened. There he is, all the way down. A major incident has clearly befallen Chimondele. The man who went from P3 to P1 to then win the race in the sprint race has found himself in 28th position, and I wonder what happened there.
I do indeed also think that. I mean, it's interesting. We've had replays before. Maybe we can take another look at the start and try to digest it just a little bit. But already on the fight back is Samuel Chimondele, trying to pick up places wherever he can. And again, it's that thing I go back to of trying to make amends as quickly as possible. Looking to the inside of turn 2, but back to the race start, starting from, of course, on the second row, tagged with Guillaume Hamling. Both of them sent off, and I mean, they're not even going that quickly into Copse. Definitely not full race speed, but it was enough on cold tyres, that small tap, to send him off.
Yeah, just the slightest of taps is enough to unsettle the car, and you saw exactly what happened there. It was a slight tap from the rear to the front of the car, and that was it. You could see Chimondele tried to catch it once again, but he sort of went around, and that was it, and that was enough to really send him down. It's a shame because he was running really well in that first race, but I'm sure he'll be able to scrape up some positions as we watch Stryker on the charge once more.
Indeed so. Maurice Stryker, the Flying Dutchman in the Tiny Moon Racing Honda NSX, the striking livery as we've coined it, and I'm sure I heard you say it in race 1. I'm going to repeat it in race 2 just for funsies. But on the back at the moment of Oscar Soriso, that fight for 5th, and well, everyone within the top 6, all within a second of the car in front. We tick past 2.5 minutes into this race. We're not trying to make as many advancements forward as possible. Dominic Ligner 1 second now clear of Sir Smogy in second. That fight for 3rd starting to boil though through Stowe once more. Jack Southfield, Sam Fleety, that fight for the podium, that looks fruity.
Yeah, it certainly does, and these guys have proven themselves to be quick. And speaking of quick drivers, there's Veldman trying to find his way past that very clunky Bentley, as James called it earlier, but he's made a great start actually. He's from P30 all the way up into P19 already. I'm not sure how he got all the way up there, but he's made some great moves in these early stages of the race, and he's trying to set one up as there's a bit of carnage there. Car number 42 off the circuit as well. Everyone avoiding action at the moment. I wonder if we'll see a replay of that, but yeah, Veldman, a great start to this race.
Indeed, so started all the way back down in P20. There's the 63 Audi also off the road just in front. I'm not entirely sure as to who that is. That's Elias Troy. That's the AM leader. Maybe falling back behind Badari potentially in that fight for the lead. We're going to see it. There it is. 7/10 behind. Here comes the move from Sam Fleety. Outside line of Brooklands corner. Jack Southfield goes defensive. The 16 Mercedes looking very, very tentative to the outside. Oscar Soriso trying to pick up the pieces as well. Jack Southfield holds station in 3rd place, at least for now. But all they're doing is harming their advancements on that fight for the lead. Oscar Soriso looking punchy on the back now of the Mercedes as they run their way through Woodcote to tick off yet another lap. Is there any way through in towards the Copse corner? The 97 machine backs off just a little bit, taking his time and biding his opportunities, trying to see where and when he can make those moves, but so far so good in that defense for 3rd for Jack Southfield.
Aston Martin getting as close as he dares for these high-speed corners. This is incredible to watch on that chase cam on the rear, but we continue to watch as Oscar Soriso has a little bit of a look through Chapel at the moment as well, and that's Fleety is going to have a look around the outside. Is he not quite? The Porsche shuts the door at the moment, and it's going to have to be the outside around Stowe Corner now. He's got that pace. He's going even quicker, and I think Saristo's going to follow him through as well. Side by side through Stowe Corner they're going. Around the outside goes the Mercedes. Is that a little bit of contact maybe? I don't know. Not quite close enough between the two of them, and a poor angle. But up the inside now for the Vale chicane goes the Mercedes of Sam Fleety at the moment, and he's going to find his way through ahead of Southfield at the moment, and now Southfield's going to be found in amongst this fight and worrying about Oscar Saristo just behind.
Beautifully done from Sam Fleety, and Oscar Saristo already on the offensive in towards Abbey Corner. Turn number 1 as it's mostly known, but side by side as they run their way through the Porsche. Jack Southfield sails his way around the outside. Maurice Stryker trying to get involved as well through Farm in towards Village. Now Oscar Saristo outside line for the very mid-speed right-hander. Jack Southfield hanging on as much as he can. Inside line for the loop as well. Oscar Saristo no way through, at least for now. Jack Southfield loses one place and very quickly has to protect yet another. Sam Fleety now onto the podium. Oscar Saristo looking punchy. Maurice Stryker trying to get into the mix as well. But Sir Smokey and Dominic Ligner pulling away. The gap now 2.7 seconds as they finish the last split time. And well, look, what have we got here? We got Jack Southfield now side by side with Oscar Saristo through Laffield. The Aston Martin trying to sail his way all the way around the outside. Maurice Stryker looking now to the inside also. Are they going to emerge side by side to tick off the lap? Side by side through Woodcourt. And there we go. Oscar Saristo turning offense into defense and actually in turn losing a position and straight on the offensive there, Maurice Stryker.
Yeah, he certainly is, and this is quite the major scrap as well for that last place on the podium, and they're going to continue to do it all the way down into the next corner, and that's inviting Blankensteiner and I think Kanzuba as well into this fight as well. Side by side they continue to go at the moment, but Saristo getting the better of Stryker at the moment and staying ahead.
It's not often I'm taken aback and have to take a breath when it comes to commentary, but when we were watching that, I was forced to. I had to just think, oh my word, oh my goodness me, what is going to go on here? Martin Blankensteiner side by side with Maurice Stryker, side by side through Stowe as well, potentially. Maurice Stryker hanging on to 6th place, at least for now. Jack Southfield also hanging on to 4th. Oscar Saristo, though, potentially mounting an attack in towards Vale. Outside line for him, though. Southfield has it covered into the pit lane, or maybe not even into the pit lane, just going in very deep there, Conchabo, in that fight for the lead in the silvers. Could potentially see Scott Vincent take the reins in that regard. Very wide through club corner there from Oscar Saristo, and already you can see Jack Southfield defending has very much started. I mean, in simple terms, it's all aboard the Southfield Express.
Yeah, it really is, and it's making for some absolutely thrilling action at the moment, and I think Scott Vincent, just a little bit further back, is currently in the lead of the silvers at the moment, as far as I can tell. And not living up to his other names at the moment of Scott Vincent or Scott Spinston, and doing well. As we see Chimondale as well on a recovery drive at the moment. He's up in P20 at the minute, and he's trying to find his way past this yellow Audi.
Yeah, Elias Troyer was leading the way in the silver class at the moment, now second and quite a long way off. So Samuel Chimondale marking another overtake in his fight back to the front. 17 minutes, of course, left of race 2, and well, not the longest amount of time to make that time back up for the 111 machine. Back to this fight at the front, though, and what a fight it is. 2 seconds between Dominic Ligner and Sir Smokey, then a further 2.5 seconds back to Sam Fleety, 2.5 seconds back to Jack Southfield, but then beyond that, you've got Jack Southfield, Oscar Saristo, Maurice Stryker, Martin Blankensteiner, also in tow, Scott Vincent, Conchabo, and Raya in that fight for the lead in the silvers. We've got 2 pretty darn good fights here materializing, and that's wide. That is off the circuit for Maurice Stryker. Same 2 from Martin Blankensteiner. Easily done in Formula 1 cars, let alone the GTs.
Yeah, it is. We saw Carlos Sainz make a move like that at Silverstone last year, and it's just so easily done. But again, this Aston Martin trying to find a way through. A great run out of the Stowe corner, going to try and go all the way around the outside of Vale at the moment. Is the space going to be offered? It is, but the door shut from the Porsche, as there's no way around for that Aston Martin at the moment, and Saristo's going to have to sit behind again for another lap and try not get frustrated, because he's not got just the car in front of him to worry about. He's also got Stryker just behind, who will snap at the chance to get ahead of that Aston Martin.
Oscar Chorizo stuck between a rock and a hard place, having to look forwards and backwards. It's probably the worst place for a racing car driver to be in, but he's trying to move forward. He's trying to hang on at the very least. Defensive Jack Southwood into the loop. Oscar Chorizo having a look, but trying to get the drive off the corner. Now through entering the flat-out kink before you head through the Wellington straight on that run towards Brooklands. Has he got the legs down the straight? Is he going to be able to, or is he going to be under pressure from Maurice Stryker? Looking to the left-hand side. Is he going to be brave enough on the brakes? Has a bit of a look. Jack Southfield is shaken by it. Gives him a little bit of space, and now Oscar Chorizo trying to have another look around the outside. Just trying to find any gap that he can and fill it is the most important thing. Maurice Stryker also sitting idle, waiting patiently for his opportunity to strike. But Jack Southfield, he has got that defensive game under wraps. He knows how to make that Porsche twice as wide as it actually is.
Yeah, it's all about knowing where to place the car. I think you've just got to be incredibly smart. It's not, you can stick to the racing line for sure, but there's sometimes where you've got to just chuck it in the middle of the track or just make things a little bit difficult. Think of yourself as an obstacle as well as an object moving at an incredibly fast speed, and that's what you've got to do, is to get in the way of the other driver and just make it harder and harder for them to find a way past. And going around the outside of Luffield, it's not really going to work. I mean, the nature of the corner, you run back out wide again, and it's going to look to the outside. This Aristo has been run down to Stowe, but still no way through. And again, Southfield showing us that placing the car in the right place is incredibly important to defending your position.
It is indeed. And once again into Vale, Oscar Chorizo trying to find the gap late on the brakes to the outside of Vale, having to tuck back in, and once again going for the double, maybe even the triple switcheroo to try and get the drive, trying to find any space and any advancement through with only 14 minutes left on the clock, around about 7 laps. It's going to be close. It's going to be around that mark in terms of where Dominic Eligna crosses the line. He at the moment, by the way, leading the way, fastest lap for him as well, but all our attention at the moment is on this fight right here. Jack Southfield, Oscar Chorizo, Maurice Stryker, soon to be Martin Blankensteiner as well. And oh my goodness me, what a fight this is starting to be. Jack Southfield has got a valiant defense. Oscar Chorizo is trying every trick in the book. You know, we saw it with the fake moves into Brooklands, etc., etc. And here actually is the fight for the lead in the silvers. Gergely Konchaba, the Hungarian, the Honda NSX, getting squeezed all the way to the left-hand side of the circuit as they run their way through the Wellington straight. Now Scott Vincent defensive, pulling out to the right-hand side to go as late as possible and around the outside. Konchaba having to tuck back in, gets the up and under, gets the overlap. Now side by side through Luffield. You said this wouldn't work, and well, it's proven to be the case.
Yeah, it is. It's just a car on the inside naturally runs out wide, and then you've just got nowhere to go. And we see it in all the sorts of overtakes. We try to go around here, but again, look, here comes that Gonzalo once again trying to go around the outside of Scott Vincent at the moment, but no way through. Defending masterclass is being displayed out on the track here at the moment, and cars being made as wide as possible. Having a look towards this Magnus Beckett's complex, still no way through for Kanzabo at the moment, and this is some thrilling stuff.
It is. You also got to be wary of the 33 BMW just in behind. This is a three-way fight for the silver lead. One of the best fights we've seen in the quote-unquote Pro-Am category pretty much the entire season. And, well, they are certainly proving as to why they deserve to be a category on the field. Konchabo through Stowe. Luca Raya trying to follow in tow. But, of course, got to be wary of Vyacheslav Volodya. Of course, that fight is not for position. But Volodya is going to want to try and get through and maybe start some advancements towards the rest of his pro field. There's one ticked off and, well, looking to set up the next one. But I doubt the Hungarian of Konchabo is going to let him through at all. Back up to this fight, though. Oscar Chorizo outside line through Abbey. That is bold, brave. Didn't quite work on this occasion. Jack Southfield, though, once again under a bit more pressure inside line as they run their way in towards Village. Maybe a bit too deep, though. Oscar Chorizo looking to get the overlap.
Yeah, Chorizo trying to find a way through, and in doing so, he got on that sausage go. Oh, there's a bit of contact there coming through the loop. That might invite Stryker into the fight as well, but that's going to really offset Jack Southfield, and he's going to lose 2 places in the space of 1 corner or so. But side by side now goes the Honda and the Porsche. Stryker trying to find a way through as well, but no way through. And around the outside, here comes Jack Southfield. He's going for it through Brooklands, and he's found a way past the Aston Martin and back into the lead of this battle.
Jack Southfield, take a bow. The defensive masterclass that we are starting to see from the young Briton is performing at his home race. No, it's not for a win. No, it's not for a podium, but it's for P4. And he is hanging on from the everlasting, the unrelenting pressure from Oscar Saristo and Maurice Stryker just in behind. Maurice Stryker now having a bit of a look. That's to the right-hand side through Maggots and Beckers. That'll be the outside for Maggots, but give him the inside for the following right-hander. Tucks back in, though, sensibly. Good choice, I would say, for Maurice Stryker. But Oscar Saristo, hop, skip, and a jump. Stay as close as you can, and that run out of Chapel is going to be incredibly important as they run through the hanger straight.
Yeah, it is now, and it's going to be another run down to Stowe, a sprint, if you'd say, all of them chasing. This is inviting Martin Blankensteiner into this fight as well now. A three-car fight becoming 4 as we run down to Stowe once again, and no way through this time for Sir Oscar Saristo, but he's going to be looking for a way through. He's hungry for it. Jack Southfield, though, is just incredibly well versed at defending at the moment and is doing an absolutely smashing job.
Bring it on. I love races like these. It's why I do what I do. And oh my goodness me, I am loving every single second, every single corner of this race, because there's always something to talk about. And well, there's no fillers needed at all. All we need is the on-track action, and well, more of it, please. Oscar Saristo through Village, trying to find a way through. Less than 10 minutes now on the clock into the dying stages of race number 2. They've done race 1. They've done the first half of the season. Now is the time to get on with things. Make up those places. Inside line for Mark Peters. Oh my goodness me. 3 wide as they run their way through. 3 different classes. 3 wide into Village. That's probably not the best idea in all fairness.
No, certainly not, and you can see it didn't really work out there in the end as both Badari and Chamontle found a way through, and now the Bentley of Davis is trying to set up a move as well, and Chamontle continuing his impressive recovery drive at the moment as well in that Audi, and getting into the thick of it and doing well to avoid any drama as once again Saristo is on the hunt for Jack Southfield.
He very much is, and well, looking very, very feisty through Maggots and Beckers, though. The Aston Martin's going to try a bit of contact as they run their way through there. They're not going to give up. Jack Southfield, Oscar Saristo side by side. They touch. Maurice Stryker involved as well. They're both round. Martin Blankensteiner forced to concede and slam on the brakes. There goes the race leader in the Pro-Ams, or the Silvers, I should say, of Conchabo. Scott Vincent following him through as well. Luca Raya also. Oh my goodness me, that kicked off a very short fuse. And all it took was the slightest of sparks to ignite what was a very, very big crash to demote Jack Southfield and Oscar Saristo all the way down. I mean, if it worked, fair play. But you could see that coming from a mile away, that was going to happen. And, well, now they're going to have to pay the price.
It would have been impressive if it worked off, but I think that might have been a long time coming. I think Saristo might have been just a little bit frustrated. He's been trying lap after lap after lap to get past that Porsche, and he must have got sick of seeing the back of Jack Southfield's car at the moment. And I think that's what played into that incident at the moment. And yeah, it was just, I think it was, you know, the writing was on the wall, if you want to say that. And it's a shame that it has happened, but that is motorsport sometimes, and they find themselves now behind Nico Veltman.
They do. So Nico Veltman from 30th, now up to P11 overall, and what is, I'm just going to do maths, 4, so P7 in terms of the pro field. He has been on a phenomenal drive all the way to the front. We got into this fight because 3 wide there. Is that Raya off the circuit? That's one of the BMWs of the Italian outfit. I don't know if that's lap traffic or not. I don't think it is, because there's Scott Vincent, there's Raya. So we're all good in terms of Nordest Racing Team. I'm going to bet that's probably Steenberg in that BMW. One of the 2, maybe Zampieri, potentially the 65 machine, just a while behind, even a lap down potentially. So no panic. It's still the fight, three-way fight potentially for the lead in terms of the Silvers. The man himself, though, Dominic Eligner, I mean, he's had such a quiet race. We haven't had to speak about him, but in the best of ways.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's, you know, those are the races you want, really, where you're not on the footage all that much, because you're out in the lead, you're controlling the pace, and you're just doing your own thing. And that's what Dominic Aligna has shown us in the last 2 races. He's just been sitting at the front and just doing his thing, and really cementing himself as the man to come out on top in this championship. But there's still plenty of racing left to go.
I mean, he's chilling. He's absolutely chilling, and he's loving every second of it. Fastest lap as well, going his way. So Dominic Aligna reigniting his championship potentially. Nico Veldman on the back of James Wright, the Audi versus the Porsche. Jack Southfield just in behind. So Nico Veldman sandwiched between the 2 Porsches. Of course, they're 2 different classes, but Jack Southfield looking like he wants to maybe make some advances and get involved and maybe make up 1 extra place. There's the dive into the loop, having a bit of a look. Veldman sees him coming, but half-bothered attempt. You can't really go for those. That's where things go wrong.
Yeah, that's it. You've really got to be committed on these overtakes, and especially in a corner like that where you're going in so late, and the driver is just naturally coming in towards the apex. So good job from Veldman to spot him coming. Here comes Chimondele down the inside of Brooklands now, getting himself up another place. The rear of the pros at the moment, overtaking the lead of the AMs right now. And Chimondele doing well to try and catch up back up at the moment. And he's not far away from the rest of his class.
He really isn't, and well, I mean, after what's happened this race, I mean, it just goes back to our point we said in qualifying that don't count anything out, because it will happen, particularly a circuit like Silverstone, particularly in a field as strong as this one. It's really been a phenomenal display of racing action, and let's not forget, this wasn't the reverse grid race. This was decided by qualifying. So, I mean, it just goes to show you don't need a snazzy format to have good races, but it does help. And, we've had the best of both worlds, Hannah Montana style, in terms of the TSRC round number 4 here at Silverstone. And so, yeah, it's still not over. 4 minutes left to go. James Wright fighting for 3rd place in the silver class, and he's only half a second off it. Also, Jack Southfield versus Nico Veldman in that fight for 7th in the pros. Well, still got a lot to decide.
Yeah, there still is. There's still plenty of action, and the time may be ticking away, but there's still enough time for some more drama. We've had the good, the bad, and the ugly throughout both of these races, really, and a lot of it has been exceptional racing. And this man, Jack Southfield, has been in the centre of a lot of that.
He has. Well, I mean, I'm sure Andrew Pike and Matt Acton aren't going to be too pleased about that. They do love to take the mick out of Jack Southfield, and often we do take the odd little jab in the commentary booth. But of course, he's doing pretty well for himself, Jack Southfield, and is moving up as much as possible. Very successful in the TSRC, very quick, and he's proven his mettle today. Scott Vincent trying to follow as close as possible to Volodya, who's really given him a nice slipstream and hanging on to 2nd place in the silver class. With I make 2 laps to go. I think it's going to be 2 more to go as Dominic Aligna has crossed the line. So this will be his penultimate lap of the race. We'll get 12 laps in, of course, and well, I mean, I'm not complaining. 1 more lap of this is certainly going to be very, very interesting indeed, particularly if Wright can join in on that fight for 2nd. I mean, well, we'll see. I suppose it's the only way to call it is what can happen, will it happen, and when will it happen? Because there's not that long left to go.
No, there's not, but there's always time for some action. This is motorsport, Zach. It's that's what it does. It throws up unexpected action in the when you least expect it. And that's what happens. I mean, watching along with Scott Vincent, I thought in my mind, when is the spin coming, Scott? But I really hope the other way. But we'll wait and see as we tick down the time at the moment. He's 2nd in the Pro-Ams at the moment and doing a good job too.
He is. Again, another driver that Matt Acton or Andrew Pike aren't going to be too happy to be seeing too well. But Scott Vincent for Turner Motorsport in the BMW has proved himself quite often, and actually this is the fight for the lead in the AMs. Badari, Elias Troyer, let's go. 1 more lap, about 1.5 laps more for them. Well, well, this could be definitely a spicy fight, of course, but Scott Vincent, of course, is a driver that comes in and out of the league and, well, is certainly impressing in the last couple of rounds in his BMW. But we focus on this fight for the lead, and this has been a long time coming. Bidari able to take the lead ahead of Elias Troyer after a spin early on, but Troyer has not let that get to him. He's bounced back and, well, he's actually got a real good shot of winning this.
Yeah, he does, and it looks like it to be quite a bit of damage on the front of that Audi, trying to find his way through. He goes, we switched the action just at the wrong time, but we're watching Veldman now make his way past right and not quite going to get in. I think that's Southfield and Saristo tangling themselves up in some action again as well. A little bit of contact there. There's no love lost between those two after their earlier incident, and Saristo's found a way past through Lovefield.
He has indeed. 50 seconds on the clock. We're on to the final lap of this race. Race 2 for round 4 here at Silverstone. And back to this fight. Elias Troyer now ahead of Bidari to the extent of a couple of tenths of a second. There is that Chef in the Honda NSX now closing in just in behind. We'll take a look as to how this happened. Side by side as they run their way in towards Aintree. Oh, there's contact. Bidari was sent off. Elias Troyer able to carry on. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm lost for words. I don't really know how to call that as awkward as it is. I think Bidari, he had a right to be there, but it was a bit desperate. You could argue both ways. There's, well, 3 wide now and towards Stowe. Oscar Saristo going to go all the way around the outside of all of them. Nico Veldman caught with his pants around his ankles there. A bit of contact. James Wright flashing his lights. He's definitely not going to be too happy with it. The clock ticks 0. We're on to the final lap of this race. We'll keep our eye, of course, on Dominic Aligna. But Jack Southfield, this fight here is very, very chaotic.
Yeah, it really is. And we saw coming to blows Saristo and Southfield once again a lap earlier. And those two, they're not going to be too happy with each other, I suppose. But yeah, Nico Veldman really caught sleeping there, and he's lost some places because of it.
He has indeed. And, well, we keep our eye, of course, on Dominic Aligna to see where he crosses the line through Luffield for the final time. From pole to flag, Dominic Aligna ticks off yet another sensational victory in the TSRC Championship. Round 4, race 2 goes the way of the German for Fast Forward Racing in his 716 Audi R8. Victorious in Silverstone. So Smokey a few seconds later takes second place and the second spot on the podium. Sam Fleety in his Mercedes, an early move early on Jack Southfield in sensational fashion, able to take the final place of the podium. The Hungarian Conchabo for the minimum effort Honda NSX takes victory for the Silvers in his 110 machine. What a race. Scott Vincent and Oscar Saristo, Luca Raya, I should say, complete the podium, as the rest of them all trickle their way to the finish line. We wait to see who it's going to be, Elias Troyer or Bidari, to win the AMS, and I think it is going to go the way of the Italian. Elias Troyer dominant in his stride, and, well, it looked to be a close call in terms of who was going to come out on top in this race, but it goes the way of the 63 Audi R8, who rocks his way through Woodcote, sees the checkered flag first for the AMS, and takes the flag. Fantastic race. Fantastic couple of races, in all fairness. Kelsey, I mean, I don't really know. How else do you put that in a word that does it justice? It's ineffable, really.
Well, Zach, I think we touched upon this point earlier. It's Silverstone. You've got to expect some absolute magnificent.
We do it best.
Action.
We do it best here in the UK. I mean, I'm trying to think of a bad track. I'll be honest. I'm trying to think of a bad track. Off the top of my head, there's no bad track in the UK. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's like in terms of club or Grand Prix circuit, there isn't a bad one. I mean, even if you go all the way down to karting, there's not really a bad circuit in the UK either. We just do it best. Simple as. Yeah,
we do it, and we do it exceptionally well, and tonight has just proved that.
Indeed. So we'll talk you through the finishing order then of race number 2 here at Silverstone. Dominic Aligna, the poleman, takes victory with the fastest lap along the way. The 716 Audi R8 carrying him to victory. 6.5 seconds goes to Smokey and Sam Fleety, who complete the podium. Marie Stryker, Martin Blankensteiner, your top 5. That was a very, very close fight for 4th. Gagli Conchabo takes victory for the Silvers, with Václav Lodge just in behind there in 7th. Scott Vincent and Luca Ryan complete the podium for the Silvers, with Oscar Saristo and Jack Southfield in between them for the pros. Then comes Nico Veldman, a sensational drive, a historic drive for the Dutchman from 30th to 12th. Samuel Chimondley 13th. Then comes Contrell, who is P4 for the Silvers. James Wright, Mark Peters, Chris Davis, Zampieri, Elias Troyer, Badari 1 and 2 in the AMS. Then comes Felix Cheff. Steenbergen completes the podium for the red number plated AMS, and beyond that we'll take a look in just a second. But there is your top 22. Then comes Paul Sims, Williams, Elbling, Kingston Lee, Rubini, Davide Massi, Guillaume Hamling, not able to make it to the checkered flag. Neither to for Schattler, who I'm sure who is he's going to be called a couple of remarks, I'm sure, from Andrew Pike, who loves his dig. Getting told, actually, we were just about to wrap up here, Kelsey, but we're getting told that Brand Snetterton and Alton Park are all in the bin. I've got to say, I'm not making any friends in the YouTube chat.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know what Brands is doing up there, to be honest. I mean,
Snetterton, that's Norfolk, hey, that is. You can't be coming at my home circle like that. You can't be. Alton Park, take some touring cars, take some F4s around there. You'll have a great time. Tell you what, actually, all three of them circuits, fantastic supercar circuits. Have you seen supercars? They are second to none.
I've not seen them, but I'll take your word for it, Zach. I mean, Shaz saying it's no bias at all. I sense a hint of sarcasm there.
That's the British sarcasm as well. Something else we do really well. Again, I'm joking. I'm sounding very, very out of order. But yeah, supercars. There's someone you want to watch, Jack Tritton. He is the 125 British and club champion for supercars. He is a sensational driver. I'm not just saying that because he's my mate. I'm saying it because supercars. Take your bog standard, say, Rotax or your X30, jack it up on some steroids, and you will have a supercar. They are sat on the floor. They are going upwards of 125 miles an hour around some Grand Prix circuits, around some club circuits. They are sensational. But regardless, we'll stop the waffle on there. I mean, let's just leave it at that point. You know, you're all entitled to your opinions, as wrong as they are. Johnny Woo, Brand Snetterton, Alton Park on the bin, whatever. You know, uncultured, I suppose, in that regard. But anyway, well, give us a quick summary of these races, Sumo, I guess, before we wrap up. What did we see today? How important was round 4?
Yeah, it was incredibly important. I mean, this marks the beginning of the end, essentially. It's the halfway point of the season. But, well, the first race of the last 3, I suppose. But, yeah, they've been fast, they've been furious. We've had some great action up and down the grid in in all 3 of the classes, really. And, yeah, we've seen some great shifts in the tables as well. And I think, Eligna has really got to be clawing back those points in the pros, and it'll be incredible to watch him try and close that gap down to Sir Smoggy and Sam Fleety as well. Well, the TSRC PC GT3 Series have ticked off Suzuka, Watkins Glen, Imola, and now the sprint round here at Silverstone. In a week's time, we take to the Dutch circuit of Zandvoort, and then a week after that, we take to Mount Panorama. We take to Bathurst for the season finale of Season 3. And well, as Kelsey very rightly said, it is the sprint to the finish. Championships on the line, race victories on the line. My name has been Zach Sweeney. I've had Kelsey Gill alongside. Thank you, of course, to Kieran Sharp and, of course, to James Parfitt for jumping in very, very last minute. It's been very wishy-washy in the commentary booth tonight, and we do apologise for that. But we do also thank everyone at home for tuning in, watching along, subscribing, liking, turning the bell on for notifications for the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. We've been here for the Sim Racing Collective PC GT3 Series here for Season 3, Round 4 at Silverstone. What a race we had. What an event that we had. Both races, the qualifying session, nothing short of sensational. But until next time, of course, make sure to tune in on all things sim racing here on the JP Broadcasting channel. But for myself, Zach Sweeney, Kelsey Gill alongside me, as I said, we'll see you in a week's time for round 5 at Zandvoort. But in the meantime, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.